Hello, everybody. Keith Henry here with the head coach of Coppin State Baseball, Sherman Reed. Coach, what time to get together again? 1 week's time, Iona comes to your house, and for the first time in a little while, we get to start the season at home
Yeah,
for a
we we
change.
we've been lucky. We've been lucky. Mother Nature's been treating us really well. I know we had a good situation last year where we got to have a quality team come down and open up with us for the 24 opener with Creighton
Oh, great.
coming in.
That's right.
We did have a little weather disturbance on the getaway day on Sunday, but for the most part, we were able to get that opening series without a hitch last year. And now we're really happy that we have an opportunity to open up at home again at Joe Cannon Stadium against Iona. And we're keeping our fingers crossed that Mother Nature treats us right and that we have a chance to get those 3 games in.
Coach, before we go on with this season, you have to learn from. I know you've learned something from last season. So what have you learned from last season, y'all again. Y'all came a couple games close to going to New York for the NEC tournament, and I know you don't
Yeah,
want to do that again.
yeah, we gotta start off strong. Even in our championship season in 22, we got off to a really slow start. I think what what helps us is when we're able to get out in preseason, the 3 weeks that the NCAA allows us for full team practice to get out and do some inter squad games. You can't replicate the speed of the game with indoor practices, and even with some of the skill things we do out on the turf. You really need to mimic as closely as you can, um, the pace of playing a baseball game. So we're fortunate in that we so far have gotten one inter squad game in. We plan on having another one next week, so that we can prepare and be ready for Iona. But we just got to get off to better starts than we've gotten off to the last couple of seasons. The games that you play in February and March sometimes can come back to bite you in April and May. So those games really count. In some cases, a case can be made those early games is as important as those later games. But this year, given how well the fall went, the strong team bond that we witnessed with the new guys coming in this fall, given the outstanding leadership of the upperclassmen, with guys like Bryce Thompson and Samuel Nieves and those guys um, have really done a really good job kind of leading this new group of guys, talented guys that we've assembled for this 25 spring season.
Coach, you have quite the non-conference schedule to challenge you guys for another tough season in the Northeast Conference, and I believe this is your third season in the Northeast
In the
Conference.
Northeast, and that's correct. Yeah, the Northeast Conference, as we tell the guys, is no joke. You got a lot of really good quality programs. The last 3 years, we've had a different team represent the conference in the NCAA regionals. So it's a pretty solid group of teams in the Northeast Conference. And any given year, a team can step up, given how closely we are in terms of talent. Um, we open up against Iona, and then we're going to be tested by a really good VMI, well-coached Roberts team. And then we've got Villanova before we get to um, UMass, University of Massachusetts. We haven't had on our schedule since my time here at Coppin, so that's going to be a unique opportunity for us to play a new program. But the good news is that when I look at that, the first 12 games of the schedule, we get to have an opportunity to play at home. So 10 of those 12 first games are at home. Really good competition. before we open up that first week or so in March against a new program to the conference, and Mercyhurst will be our first conference game. So, yeah, the schedule is always tough. We look forward to, better being able to scout those teams from the Northeast now that we're in our third year. We know a little bit more about those good programs than we knew prior. So, we're just trying to get back to where we were in 23, our first year joining the conference, when we got to 21 wins and got a chance to tie for that last playoff spot, only to lose the opportunity to the tie break. It was a three-way tie. So we know we're capable of competing in the Northeast Conference. Last year was a down year. We were terribly young, really young. Good talent, but really young. It took us a while to kind of figure things out. This year we went with a little bit more in the way of an experienced recruiting class.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see what that holds for us this spring.
Also on the schedule, Coach, you'll get a unique opportunity to go to the Northwest and play Seattle U.
The Great Northwest. I'm glad that opportunity came about. Coach called about 18 months ago after Seattle Mariners hosting the All-Star game in 2003, the Swingman Classic, a very good opportunity that Major League Baseball put on for those top HBCU recruits. So the Swingman Classic was held at T-Mobile Park there in Seattle, and then Coach was with some of the other local representatives from the visiting commission for Seattle. Thought it'd be great to bring an HBCU team back to the Great Northwest. They called us. We were able to fit them in the week that we have a scheduled bye in the Northeast Conference. And I think the Seattle Mariners are now involved, some of the local sponsors. It's gonna be a good time. I think the Seattle Mariners host us on opening day Thursday with a reception. We'll get a chance to practice on T-Mobile Field, both clubs. And we've got a couple guys from the Great Northwest, so guys like Indy Anderson will get a chance to play in his hometown, and with the large number of West Coast guys we have on our roster, it made sense to say yes and make that happen. So we're looking so forward to getting to Seattle to play University of Seattle. It should be a good time for the guys.
Coach, we got to come back to the challenge of playing in the NEC. Last season, the only wins y'all had were against the HBCU teams, and the only series wins were against HBCU teams. And unfortunately, you didn't get a chance. You didn't win any of those other series, and I know that's something you want to improve coming in, Coach.
And I think we did get one. I think we got a real good Merrimack. I think we got that series. And even as I mentioned in year one, our inaugural season in the Northeast Conference, we knocked off several conference wins. So we know it's capable. We're capable of that. But you're right. We've had some successes against some of the HBCU teams in that conference, like Del State and Norfolk and UMES. But we got to find a way to compete in all of those conference games, all 27 of them, I believe, is what we have scheduled for this year. So you're right. We've got to play better baseball. We're more than capable of playing better baseball. And again, given the strength of our seasoned and experienced baseball players and the depth that we've built, I think it's going to be a big bounce back year for us based on where we were in the 24 season. We're looking forward to getting back to, first of all, showing that we know we can compete in the Northeast Conference, but then racking up those all-important wins.
And Coach, and in the help with that, you got a new pitching coach. Talk about your new pitching coach. Talk about mostly new
Absolutely.
staff that's here that's going to help you to be successful.
Yeah, it's funny because when I look at my 15-year stint here at Coppin State, I've been one of the fortunate ones in the MEAC. And even when I talk to the coaches in the Northeast Conference, my coaching staff has been really stable, man. I've been really fortunate to have some great coaches go through here. Some have gone on to bigger and better things. Even young Dutton, that was with me last year, is just signed on with the Orioles. He'll be hitting the spring training and working with the Bowie Bay Sox when he comes back north. But we've had some really good coaches that run through here. This was the first year where I had a total revamp of the entire coaching staff, and we were fortunate to bring a young man here from Oregon State. He'll be hitting back close to home for the Seattle series, but having a really good, young, talented coach like Jacob Schaefer, and then we were able to bring on board Stephen Barn, who I've watched grow, from an 18-year-old starring at Norfolk State as an all-conference first baseman, later to move on into coaching, staying within the MEAC at Del State, and all he's done at Del State is lead them to one of the top hitting teams, even in the Northeast Conference. I think last year they finished third in hitting. We were able to get Stephen Barn to lead out hitting with Coach Schaefer assisting, and then very happy to have a guy like Wayne Franklin, a guy that knows what it takes to play at the next level, has a really good subtle way with his teaching approach that the guys look him in the eyes and trust everything he's telling them. And the jumps we made this past fall with the pitching was one that has all of us around this building excited about. Now it's how you're going to apply and translate all of the experience and skill set and mental approach that Coach Franklin is so good in relaying to the guys. Now, what are they going to do with all that knowledge when we get between the lines in a little less than a week from today, actually. So, Franklin was a really good catch. I remember still when when I saw his application and I recognized his name right away. It was like, Coach, I don't know whether we can afford you to come here to Coppin. He said, Coach, we can talk about it, but I'm glad administration stepped up, made it worth Coach Franklin's while to say yes to this opportunity and bring him back to the state where he started at UMBC as a star two-way player, first base pitcher, and he's been a really, really good catch. So, I call it an all-star coaching staff that we've assembled here. So we haven't really missed a beat from that standpoint. Now it's a matter of us going out there and continuing to do the things we did this fall. It's one step at a time, and right now all focus is on February 14th, game one against a pesky Iona team that's going to come down here and really test us.
And Coach, speaking of experience, you had folks coming back. You mentioned in Samuel Nieves and Bryce Thompson. What have those guys brought to this team that makes you appreciate?
First of all, and that's a really good question, because we've had some really good, outstanding upperclassmen that come through Coppin during my stint here, and one of the things I hear from all the new guys is how approachable Nieves and Thompson make themselves, and even guys like Justin Ritz. They always talk about how approachable those guys are. They read about them, they follow them as recruits, and then when they get here, they come to find out these kids are down to earth. All they want to do is be helpful to them, helping them to adapt to life as a Coppin State student athletes. And again, they lead by example. For the most part, they're quiet in their approach, but the leadership we've gotten from those two, and I always got to remind myself that Bryce is such a still young player. Before we take the field next week, he's a sophomore right now. Soon to be christened as a junior, but just with his wisdom. And these guys are outstanding student athletes. By that I mean they're great in the classroom. besides being just good baseball players. But the upperclassmen, and there's a couple names that I'm missing, even a young Asensio is only in his second year, how he's taken on leadership with the young catching core that we have, and some of the outstanding transfer students. Indy Anderson comes to mind, and then a guy that can play anywhere in the infield except first and can play anywhere in the outfield. Grossmacher, another guy that led the team in hitting this fall, and his quiet approach to things. You know, the stage is never too big for him. And then, you know, some of the quality arms that we've seen, the returners, that's taken a leap under the leadership and direction of Wayne Franklin. It should be an interesting 25 spring season. I can't wait to see them take the field and compete.
So, who among the new ones that transfers impressed you thus far, and what what do the Coppin supporters have to look forward to in terms of them their play and
I think, you know, one guy I forgot to mention, we were also fortunate to get a really good baseball player back in DiVittorio. He transferred back mid-year. He's one of our top. He was our leading hitter and a spark plug in that leadoff position. Having DiVittorio back, you know, guys that there was, like I said, Justin Ritz is only a second-year returner. It was lights out on the mound, just spectacular. Pitching from the submarine position. You know, we talk about Grossmacher, the utility infielder, outfielder that just has a real good steady approach, coming back from an arm injury. So he wasn't able to cut loose for a good bit of the fall, but now he's 100%. Indy Anderson at first, can play first or third. Then we got Pregnall, Sundahl, another kid from the West Coast that's going to factor in big for us. Then we've got the steady Daniel Moore. I keep forgetting about Daniel when we talk about the leadership with Nieves. Daniel Moore can be thrown in there as well with Thompson. We got Dan Moore that Danny did a really good job. He's going to probably be a swing guy, even though I think potentially he could be all conference starting second baseman, but he'll probably play a little bit of third as well in the rotation that we have. Then we got a real good young player that's proving that he's ready to take on a role as a true freshman in Jaden Clark, a kid from Georgia. So there's a lot to be excited about this team, but you know, well,